Good morning teacher and class. Today, in the presentation of subject managerial economics, Group 4 would like to discuss about an interesting topic, called negative externalities. Our presentation will be divided into 4 main sections. In the first section, we will introduce and explain about the definition and the formula of negative externalities. The second section, we will talk about an example about the cigarette case. The third section is about the economics chart of negative externalities, and the final part will offer an example about farmers, in order to help you understand more clearly about this interesting topic. So let's begin our discussion now. So, what exactly is a negative externality? A negative externality occurs when a third party, not involved in an economic transaction, is harmed from the consumption or production of that good or service. A common example for consumption is smoking. People who is harmed by the other smokers, called second-hand smoke. With the formula of negative consumption externalities, the social benefit equals the private benefit minus the external cost. We subtract external cost because we assume there are negative social benefits. Rather than add a negative benefit, we subtract the external cost. Let's break down what this means. The social benefits represents the benefits to society as a whole. The private benefit is the benefit received by the individual consuming the good or service, and the external costs, or the externality, are the costs to a third party not involved. Let's talk about the most common example, which is the cigarette. There is a negative externalities in case of smoking in public places. Smokers enjoy the cigarette as it helps them to reduce stress, so this is the private benefits. However, other people around them, such as other children or adults, will be affected by their smoke. This will be negative externalities. The social benefit is the benefits received from smoking of both smoker and non-smoker. Non-smokers is the third party that does not involve in the transaction, but affected. In this case, given that smoking is harming non-smokers, thus, the social benefit will equals private benefits minus negative externalities. What the government can do are impose special tax on consuming cigarette, lead to higher selling price, then it will reduce the demand. Impose tax on cigarette plants, lead to higher production price, then it will reduce the supply. Regulation on banning smoking in certain places. Take a look at a graph. Here is the market for cigarettes price quantity. This is the demand, marginal social benefit, what people are going to pay for cigarettes, and this is the marginal cost that you normally think of when you think of supply, and supply is equal to marginal cost. But this is the private cost. We would affirm produces cigarettes. It does not factor in this additional cost of cigarettes, so free market only looks at the cost to the individual firm, and that quantity will be the quantity of them, right? FM. And this is the quantity of free market, that is the quantity which happen in the free market. But if you factor in these additional cost of society, the additional cost of cigarettes, where other people died from second-hand smoke, or get cancer, or they are a drain on society, and they have to pay through our tax money to pay for their health care. There is actually an additional cost, though cigarettes, and this right here is the supply, for the marginal social cost. The additional cost, plus the cost of society. If you look, it gives you a quantity. That quantity is the quantity which is optimal. This is where marginal social cost equals marginal social benefit. So, what outputs should be produced? So the problem we said, in the free market, too much is produced, too much output, and too much in the free market. The reason why we know that is because the marginal social cost is greater than the marginal social benefit at quantity free market QFM. At this quantity, marginal social cost is greater than the marginal social benefit, because we are producing too much. So, the solution is, the government needs to step in with a per unit tax that shifts the supply curve to the left, then tax on producers would shift the marginal costs to the left, and the old supply curve would disappear, and now the firm would produce in the Q optimal output. Then it will solve the problem. One more example about negative externalities. Imagine being a corn farmer and growing corn. What are the private costs that you face that help you determine how many ears of corn to grow? Things like fuel, seed, fertilizer, these are your private cost. But it turns out that every spring and summer, when you lay down the fertilizer, some of this flow into the stream nearby and flows into a lake downstream, oftentimes resulting in large fish kills. All those downstream, the fishermen, the recreationist, and the landowners, all incur a negative externality. There are three broad categories of ways in which we can address these externalities. The first is taxation, the second, regulation, and the third is by using property rights. Thank you for your time and have a nice day.